Incremental writing can be used to create new texts, but it can also be used to compile old texts from different sources. For example, to organize and produce new quality. I would like to write about the A factor, which is a concept in SuperMemo. I found neat short definition in SuperMemopedia, but it's not fully satisfactory. I found a definition in SuperMemo help, but this looks like a wall of text. It's not well formatted, very hard to read. I also found one which looks like an output for ChatGPT. Looks very nice, but is it easy to understand? I have problems to understand that. Okay, here is a version written by Palace. I found it in the SuperMemo group, very nice. Well organized, could be helpful. There is just a sentence from element parameters, another page in help. And here's a page by Andy Matuszak, would you believe? That could be useful. And that's the one from my SuperMemopedia. So I will take all those texts and using incremental writing, I'll generate new, hopefully short, hopefully clear, well-organized texts with the help of incremental writing. I will start with creating a new collection. File, new collection, A factors. Now I will import all the articles. Shift F8 or edit web import. I have those articles here. Shift click, close and import, and I have those articles nicely imported in SuperMemo. Now I want to see how it looks like in contents. I have those articles imported in a single node. Maybe I will call it a to-do node. I will insert a new node code done A. I'll keep this node empty, but remember, maybe I'll just add some notes just in case. It will not hold my text, just general remarks. Those elements I would like to review today. Normally in SuperMemo, you don't review things the same day, so I have to add them to the outstanding queue. Ctrl+Space. I will align them better. Maybe randomize. And add to outstanding. Skip elements added to review today. Don't skip them. Get them all. Whatever number I put there, it doesn't matter. I can review those elements now. So I'll just go to learn or just enter. And we have the first text. Glossary, A factor, SuperMemo help. A factor, absolute factor, AF, number associated with element collection, okay. This is A factor, determines how much it is good, okay. The higher the A factor, the faster the difference increase. Okay. You can see A factors another, okay. So all independent pieces of information which we can reshuffle and organize nicely depending on the structure that emerges during incremental writing. For items, A factors are item difficulty. For topics, A factors modulate topic priority, modulate. Who uses this kind of terminology? It's unclear. The higher the A factor, the easier the item. The most difficult is for items, A factor is defined as a quotient. Oh, that's very nice. That's important. For topics and tasks and concepts. A factor is divided by a number. Okay, next as as in SuperMemo 2. Algorithms, yeah. Their meaning isn't changed, but for their okay, this probably will need some explanation. So I have my first source of knowledge, past, and as a form of extracts, all individual sentences which have their own meaning are extracted individually. So now I can do done Ctrl+Shift+Enter. Do you want to remove all elements? Yes. Yes. Once again, those elements have nicely been extracted and be used in incremental writing. They'll end up in the done branch. This is the to-do branch. We'll end up in the done branch. Which one would we take next? Oh, this one is short. A factor is now associated with all elements. We probably have this sentence already. We'll look for the one which is the neatest. You can see the A factor is the element that I want to write. The sentence like that. We'll pick the better one. See also. Oh, that's interesting. See also. We have a separate branch for see also. Glossary effect. Okay. Done. I'll go to see also. Let's title it as see also. We'll add all other see also elements here. And this will be our first branch, which will go to done. See also done. So at the end of our text, we'll have see also or further reading, whatever. And this one is done, this one is done, this one is long, this one, oh, this one is very short. We can at once get rid of it. We just need this one sentence. We'll have a look at this later. Now, Andy Matuszczak, maybe that's a dessert. A factors, I think that's the palace version. There. That's nicely grouped. We'll have a look at this later. For topics and tasks and concepts. And concepts. This will probably be redundant. Well, we'll see which version is better. For origins of a factor C, for, oh, that's interesting. For C also. For origins of C, then. Okay. Done. And let's go back to this. And Ctrl+Shift+V, I'll move it to see also. Accept. And now you see also 1, 2. And this one will later integrate with see also. Okay. How about this? Oh boy, this is too long. I think I'll just split it automatically. Control Enter. Split. And let's see if those individual sub-articles make any sense. This, oh boy, so many. Good. A factor. That's not a problem. For beginners, if you use the new SuperMemo, we don't need to, yeah, that's important. That's important. That actually could be our first sentence in the article. Good. So I'll take it to done. I'll put it to done. For beginners. Okay. Where were we? For beginner. Oh, that's not that. For beginners. What is a factor SuperMemo? It's absolute difficulty. I think we have lots of redundancy here. I split them for easier processing. Element data window, that's the third time. Those headings we add later. How about this? Items versus topics. I think I already have this. Okay. How a factors work. Now, how a factor works. In the learning process, most cases were used by calculating optimum intervals. That's a little bit obvious. Nobody reads about a factors who doesn't know what SuperMemo does. So the a factor determines how much longer each next interval should be. Nah, I'm deleting this. It's an ugly, meaningless statement. For items, oh, we have a formula, that's good. For topics, it acts as a direct multiplier. Who understands that? I'm deleting this. A factor modulate, again modulate. Oh boy, this one I delete. Oh, that's important. SuperMemo 2 and Anki. So this one is done. Well, and now we can go to Andy Matuszczak. Let's see. A factor in SuperMemo. In SuperMemo algorithm before a key parameter for each task. Oh, that's not a good statement. Task is absolute factor. For recall. He means elements, okay. This map is Absolute measure of item difficulty is good. The estimate auto increase in interval review. We have it already. I think I prefer the SuperMemo terminology, okay? I think for Andy we'll define a special template because he uses slightly different terminology, so we need to be very careful not to confuse one with the other. So we do a template, save as template, let's call it Andy. Let's give it a slight yellowish color, something like this. We know it's Andy, it's Andy's text. New estimated readable after each repetition, that's good. This one is related to, but it's things of ease using a key, yeah. If I also use the topic task SuperMemo. Subjective priority, oh that's good. It's interesting to know that the rough approximating nature of the supervision say that the fact that some users don't share the same questions. So it's not possible to actually use the great general. It's true, but isn't it a little bit misleading? We don't want to aggregate user data, create external estimates of item difficulty, although this could be useful for people who use a collection. But generally we focus on a collection which are all individual for individuals. So what's the limit? A factor means absolute measured. Nice questions. How is SuperMemo factor estimated? The users can't forget. Oh no. It's hard to understand that. What's the favor for easy questions? Hard question, what is your call it equivalent effect? So references, that would be see also, in case we don't have it there. Move it to see also, accept, and now we're practically done with the to the branch next pass. But now we have 40 elements to process. I will randomize them traditionally. We'll have to add them to the outstanding queue, unfortunately again. Randomize them again. What's the difference between SuperMemo's A factor and Anki's ease factor? The A factor is meant to be absolute measure of difficulty, while the ease factor estimates the item's current difficulty. Okay, looks like we'll need something like history piece. So maybe origins. And here perhaps SuperMemo 2. SuperMemo 2 algorithm. Okay, so once again, what's the difference? Okay, view and accept, and we have what's the difference. Okay, next. You can see A factor in the element data window. Element data. We have a couple of such elements, so now we can make a selection. You can see if I go, oh, perfectly the same. You can see the A factor, you can see A factors. You can see the A factor. This is more accurate. So this one we delete. This table, let me see. What is it? Applies to key effect. It looks like some kind of ChatGPT. Not sure I like it. You can view and edit the elements. A factor in the element. That's even better. You can see the A factor in the element data window. You can view, or you can see. You can see and edit an element A factor. That's very nice. So what do I have here? A factor is the number of fixed data. Oh, that's nice. It explains the algorithms. In SuperMemopedia, the factor is not in the collection. Why? Not in SuperMemopedia. And practically all your SuperMemo. The factor should determine how much intervals increase in the learning process. Okay. The higher the effector, the faster the interval increase. Okay, maybe this should go together. You can see effector window, window to window. This we can already delete. Nice. What next? The behavior is similar to how effectors work in SuperMemo 2 and in tools like Anki. So now we know we need a branch, how it works for beginners. So we need a new branch, how it works. Ctrl+Shift+V and move it to how it works. Okay, what's next? What did SuperMemo call it? Equivalent like is value, E factor. I don't think I'll use that, but let's leave it for later. The higher the effector, the faster the intervals increase. Okay, then we'll go to how it works. Advanced nodes. A factors are outgrowth of the effector system. Yeah, there is some connection that needs to be reformatted, and if the distribution may vary. Yes. For topics and tasks and concept effectors, the number of which should be multiplied by value of 0. Very good. Okay, I think I know how it works. Now we need to split it into items and topics, effectors. Similar, that will be for topics. And the first interval increase, that would be independent of the type. The next one was topic, effectors. Last topics and factors, 2 topics, accept. What's next? Destinate the user current for getting, that was this tricky one. No, for later. I saw something similar and probably it was better. I think these are questions or answers for Anki or for SuperMemo questions and answers, so it's not actually a text. Never mind. Most difficult I said a factor of 2. Hard choice, but this we can safely delete. Most will answer for items, A factors. Actually, this is pretty good, and perhaps it should be enough. I'll move it to 4 items. How it works? Items, accept. How about the other 2? No, guys. I think this will go. A factor is intrinsic difficulty. I don't like it. A factor is calculated as a factor. That would be 4 items, wouldn't it? Example. Okay. Do we need an example for such a simple thing? No, I'm deleting that. Typical range for A factors, 1.2, 3 more. Typical range, do we have 6 or 5? 6.0. No, how about 5? No. How about 6? No. How about 5? Ooh, okay. So, A factors are calculated. Typical range for A factors is 1, 2, 3 more for easy items. That will be for items. So I can move this to items and this to items, perhaps somewhere at the beginning. Next. Oh, that's C also. Ctrl+Shift+V. I have the whole collection of references useful for C also. What's next? For topics, A factor modulate. I will reformulate that later. For topics, except, when I accumulate a lot of text for items and for topics, those will become separate incremental reading processes, so you can also split it for to do and done. Usually it's not necessary unless you have really too many. This parameter is related but distinct from E is used in Anki. Okay, that's Andy's text. Those require a little bit more thinking. In the element data window, don't we have it already? See, and edit. No. Origins. This is perhaps that could be introductory. Let people know how to get them those refactors. A factor is also for topics, tasks, SuperMemo, incremental reading. In this case, they represent subjective priority. Well, this is worth considering in how it works. Topics, except this could be an introductory question actually. A factor is a number associated with elements. You probably have something like that already. No. With all elements. Now we have again two nearly identical sentences. The higher the A factor, the faster the intervals increase. The greater A factor, the longer the interval between successive reviews. Actually, this is more precise. The A factor determines how fast the intervals increase. Those intervals can be still short or long independently, so this sentence is definitely worse. I'll delete that one. Again, I found sentences very similar. For items, A factors correspond with item difficulty. The higher the A factor, the easier the item. In items, A factor, oh boy. The most difficult items. In most cases, the higher the A factor, the easier the item. The higher the A factor, the easier. In most cases, no, not in most cases. In all cases. Delete. I think I've found a little mistake or error in Matuszczak's writing. He says that approximate nature of this approach is necessitated by the fact that SuperMemo users don't share the same question. So it's not possible to aggregate users' data to create external estimates of item difficulty. The problem is that the difficulty is relative to prior knowledge and only to prior knowledge, while the algorithm actually estimates absolute difficulty for the given user in given time, and it's not dependent on the distribution of difficulty in the collection, the least so on other people. This could be a material for a FAQ, but not for the description of A factors. I reviewed 18 elements, and now my to-do branch is only 24 elements long, of which only 14 are memorized. I'll randomize them, add to the outstanding queue, and go through this again just to be sure. This is to be reviewed later. How much it will increase the learning process. Don't we have it already like 5 times? Never mind. I'll move it again here for comparisons. Okay, for items, factors reflect item difficulty. I think we had it like 7 times already. Oh boy, again. Oh, lots of sentences to choose from. The higher the A factor, the faster the range is also delivered. These are all repeats. That's for the definition maybe. And so on. I've done 2 passes. Those 24 elements are practically text that I don't plan to include anymore. Just 6 texts. But here in the done branch, I have lots of redundancy. How it works for items, 8 sentences which are very similar. So those all will have to be reviewed and treated in exactly the same way, like with the done branch. Let's say done, and those may be to do. And we repeat the whole process iteratively. Nine elements to review. Okay. In the end, I got to the point where I need to say 4 things about refactors for items. Number 1, it reflects difficulty. It's defined as typical range, and from an algorithm SM15 I extracted how it's computed more exactly. So that's a copy-paste from the algorithm. And that's all for items. After a longer while, I can say that my done branch is done. I have a couple of elements in the to-do branch, but those can be considered later. At this moment, I don't consider them as necessary for the article. Let's see how the branch looks now. First, a few words for the beginners, then explanation how refactors work, how they work for items, how they work for topics, then where you can see them, where you can edit them, if you can edit them, and the origins from SuperMemo to the comparison with Anki. Finally, further references. I can say this is all nicely done. Now I can export all my done branch as a document. Export as document without the knowledge tree, without references, just text. Okay, doesn't look too appealing. There's lots of formatting quirks. However, I plan to just take it to ChatGPT, select all, copy, can you beautify this text for me? A beautiful version of your content. What is refactor? Nice, nice, nice. Lovely. Yeah, I'll take this and Wikify for publishing. When I reviewed exactly what ChatGPT did, it wasn't so perfect, so required a little bit of modification, so extra 10-15 minutes of work. But now the article looks good. It is a late hour, therefore it may still contain some errors, but tomorrow in the morning, fresh brain, I'll read it. So it might seem like lots of work, but I know I did it precisely. I didn't miss anything. Everything's included, organized well. I'm happy.